Good evening, Patrick here. Eight questions with, and welcome to the show. It is one of two this week, as we'll be interviewing actor Kyle Ament in about 15 minutes. And tomorrow we have Captain Steve from the Shark Podcast, Chum Bucket, a shark movie podcast. I can't wait for both of these shows. We'll also be joined, we're scheduled to be joined by our good friend Dilynn Fawn Harvey. She's going to come on and we're going to be talking with Kyle not only about his career, but about the music community in Kansas, and yeah, have a lot of fun. This will be Dylan's first time that she's co-hosted a podcast. I do hope that she enjoys it, in case she wants to join a podcast later on, or even come back here if she'd like to come back. So we're pretty excited. I know that she's pretty tired too. She flew out to the coast with Todd Sheets for the premiere of the new movie that they putting out, Bad Wolf Rising. Was it what Bad Wolf Rising? Yeah. Um, so Kyle will be here. He is a fine character actor, and it's really cool is that he's another actor who he just wanted to act, and so he raised a family. He raised family and he worked, and then he wanted to do acting, so he got into it. And he didn't start out as a young man. uh, you know um, he's been working since 2019. That's not very long in the movie business, and he's accrued quite a bit of credits. He's been in some really good movies, and he's either starting as background and working his way up to speaking roles, and he's just working hard. He's got a ton of credits. Um, well, according to his IMDb, he's got 34 underneath his belt and seven that are in the middle of being made. So it's 41 credits, basically 41 projects that he's working on or has done since 2019, which is, like I said, which is pretty damn outstanding considering that he is in Kansas City, which is not necessarily known as a hubbub of filmmaking. I mean, there is a film community there, as we know, but it's not the first thing you think of when you think of Kansas City. Oh, there are actors there, movies and whatnot. So to be able to make your mark, in a very quiet town, that says a lot to one's talent, if you ask me. Um, so we'll be talking with Kyle shortly. He's done some, like I said, he's done some really good projects. The ones I'm really curious about are he posted Wholesome Grove and Wild Moon Rising. I think I got that right. I think I got that might have got that wrong. And all I know is that he did a short. He commented to me. He said, I did a short film, a Krampus short film, and it was a 16-minute long short film, and he spent over 5 hours in the makeup chair for a 16-minute short film. See, that's the sort of dedication that your peers and producers and directors, they take notice of. Casting directors, they take notice of. They look at that and they go like, man, he did that to do a short film. That's dedication. That's I like that. I mean, we could put this guy in just about anything, and he's going to do it and do it like a professional. Hopefully that either has led to more work or will lead to more work, because I know that's a very tough thing to do, to sit there underneath makeup for over 5 hours. Like I said, tomorrow night, tomorrow, oh, jeez. Yeah, tomorrow night we'll be having Captain Steve from Chum Bucket. It's a shark movie podcast, so we'll be talking all things shark movies tomorrow. I'm sure that we'll be seeing our good friend Eric will be swimming in here sooner than later. I have to check that out. Yeah, we've been busy here. Are a bunch of new reviews have dropped on the channel. Man, if you want to check out what's going on as far as movies go, we dropped our review for No Tears in Hell, the latest movie from Michael Cassie. That's that's a good movie. That's a good movie. Not for the lighthearted. I had to put the claim. I even told Michael, says, I had to put disclaimers out, but I did the same thing for the coffee table. Last year when I did the coffee table, I was saying it's a great movie, but wait a minute, before you dive in there expecting to get Bambi, let me tell you, it's you know, and of course, it didn't help that for some reason people thought the movie was a dark comedy. It had a couple of moments in the first half of the movie. In the first third, there was a couple of funny moments in it, sure, but once that thing, hits zero, as far as what's going to happen for it, yeah, the comedy left on the last train out of Clarksville. There's nothing funny about that movie. I was just like, I don't get it. Um, but it's a sensational film. No Tears in Hell, no comedy there. In fact, I think comedy might have been served as one of the dishes in the movie. Um, it's a sensational movie. Um, Not for the lighthearted, I have to say that, but it's good. I mean, if you're extreme horror, and there are a lot of people in our community that love extreme horror, I can think of Wes, the Ice Lord, Mr. Bones. Um, I know Rick from Sobrosa. I know he's really into extreme horror. That's pretty much all he sells. Our good friend Mr. Meat Hook, he likes extreme horror. Um, yeah, so there's No Tears in Hell has an audience waiting to see it. I can't wait to see some of the reviews so far. I dropped mine down. I don't. I hope that my review is I hope it doesn't. I don't want it to push anybody away. I don't want it to scare anybody away, like I did the coffee table too. I didn't want. I want everybody to see this movie, but at the same time, it's like if someone tells me, "Hey, come check it, look at this," and they don't give me warning, and I end up watching the Serbian film. Yeah, I'm not going to be too happy about that. Like, hey, can't you give me a heads up of what I'm going to watch here? So it's the reason why I do disclaimers when I do my reviews. I don't want to. I'm not looking for a gotcha moment. Like, I'm not looking for a reaction. Like looking over at my friend and watching my friend get ill or discomfort or uncomfortable, and I'm sitting here going, "I gotcha." I don't want that. I want people to be. I want people to be. I want their eyes wide open. And the only thing I probably can think of now, which I didn't put in my review, but I would probably say this is like in the same level as Dahmer, which got a ton of praise, right? I mean, everybody loved that series, and which is good. I'm glad the story was told. This also is a true story based on a true story as well. So yeah, so I hope that people do go out there and because it's Michael's. I gotta be honest with you, it's Michael's finest work so far, and it's powerful, and I thought the cast was top notch. So I'm very much excited to see. I mean, everybody's talking about this weapons movie. The newest thing, God, aren't you tired of that overhyped shit? Oh my God, every movie that comes out, it's like it's a supernatural horror. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. The poster is very cool. I think that's what, to me, I think what a lot of people were brought into it because that poster, it did give sort of a Nightmare on Elm Street type of vibe. The way they had the kids were running. I get that, but for everybody to sit there and like roll over dead and sit there and say this is the best movie of the horror movie of the year, and it's like it's not even. It's like, okay, I get that, but it's not the best thing since sliced bread. We heard the same thing with X and Pearl, long legs. Oh gosh, we're doing the same thing with long legs we are now. Like this is the best movie ever, and it's like, it's okay, it's okay. Uh, and I think that from what I've heard, from what people have said, They said it's a very good movie, but I have yet to hear a single person tell me that it's better than Barbarian. Now I've heard a lot of people talk, and you would think, hopefully Zach Kreger is the director. Hopefully now that he's got some clout, right? Now that they want him to go ahead and, hey, why don't you do? And again, isn't this always the case too? New director, except they got him after 2 movies instead of 1. So new director comes on board, new hot director. The fact that I read a couple of trades that said that Zach Kregers is now sitting at the head of the director's table. We'll have to carry that thought a little bit later. The doorbell has rang, so that must mean somebody is here. And let's go see who it is and bring him onto the show.
Good evening, Patrick.
It's Kyle. Greetings. It's Kyle. I thought Dilynn would be here. I'm sure she's probably going to show up dead on 8 o'clock. So I was doing a little soapboxing here. I was talking about how the new movie Weapons came out, and everybody is falling over themselves saying how it's the best horror movie made in the last 20 years or so. It always seems that lately, the last few years, that they do that for every horror film comes out. They just falling over themselves about it, and it's like it's probably going to be a decent movie. I mean, I looked at it, and it's like it's a supernatural horror movie. Okay, that's great. That's my favorite kind of movie. But to sit there and say, yeah, this is the best thing since sliced bread, is like, well, it all depends whose bread you're slicing, because my idea of, like the movie I saw earlier this week, No Tears in Hell, I am positive it is a lot more horror than Weapons. I am positive about that. It's just like, you want to go see a real horror film, you could there's horror film light in Weapons, and then there's horror, like true horror, and No Tears for Hell. It's like, so what do you want to see? Do you want to be scared, or you just want to be part of the water cooler crowd? And the big difference between the 2 movies, well, one was made for a major studio and one's independent. They have to fight for every ounce of press they can get, whereas they have a machine behind the big studio. So of course the narrative is going to be that Weapons is all that and a cup of tea, when in fact it probably is just a decent movie. It's probably just really good. Do you find that to be true, Kyle? Do you ever look at some of the movies you see coming out, and you hear about the hype, and people are talking about it, and you yourself know that you've done some movies in your career that are outstanding, but they don't get the love like a big studio picture does?
Well, some of those big studio like adventure movies, all they do is this big fight scene that lasts 40 minutes, and I start to lose interest in it because it's the same thing. It's not a lot of buildup or whatever. And I think some movies, they spend too much time on it. About like horror. I like it I don't like it when they don't show the monsters until the very end. I don't like that.
That's true.
But I also don't like it when the monsters like a main part of the cast. It's kind of like they need to be in it, but not in every scene. And that's just my preference.
I just want to see the monster. That's my thing is, and I've talked about this movie a lot. There's 2 movies I can bring up right off the top of my head that everybody talks about them, and I'm just totally lost. I totally don't. I watch both films. Lake Mungo was one of them. Oh, it's the scariest movie, and scary. I watched it on Tubi. I was so It was like a 3-second little shot.
Yeah, I don't like that when they do that.
And that was it in the whole movie. I'm going like, what is everybody talking about? Like, you know what it is? It's like everybody is hearing what everybody else is saying, they're jumping on the bandwagon. Because you ask anybody, like, okay, so break down this movie for me. I haven't seen it yet. So what makes this movie so scary? I mean, what makes it truly scary? And I honestly, I feel a lot of people probably could not tell you. And the same thing with my personal one that I get bummed at is Pyewacket, which is another scary movie, supernatural thriller, and you never really get to see the creature. It's as an hour and 40 minutes. It's good acting, but there's no creature. It's like it's one shot, a far away shot, and you see it. It's like an inch high, and that's it. And you're going like, but worse, at the end of the movie, the credits are rolling, and you're sitting there going like, what did I did? What I didn't watch anything because there was nothing to see.
Yeah, I don't like it when they do that. I've watched a few where they've done that
Now,
to you as well.
now we can talk about Todd Sheets and know that that's not that certainly is not Todd, is
You're
it?
going to see the monster.
Yes, he's gonna be living in your head, that's for sure. He's gonna be serving you breakfast and bed, and opening the door for you as you drive to work, and bringing your paper and coffee when you get home. I love those kind of movies. Bring me a creature. Yeah, I like a good monster. I like a good monster film. Um, but you've done some really. I was I was blown away, and I'm not sure if your IMDb is. I had a feeling it's not updated. I think you have more going on, but just with the credits that I've seen you already, because since 2019 that you started working in film and TV. I mean, as far as your credits being coming up, did you work? Did you do any acting before 2019?
I
Or
did
was
not.
this
No,
was it?
and I think I have like 35 film credits on IMDb. Um, and some of the things like that are on my list that I sent you are like I've done like these little projects where you do a movie trailer or where you do a commercial or things like that, and those would never be on there. And a lot of the short films I've done probably 18 or 19 short films, and there's half a dozen of those made it to IMDb. But the
We gotta get the rest
features
of them.
generally do, and I've been in I guess 25 that have been completed, 25 features, including Wolf Moon Rising. Um, and I about movies like probably the three movies I had the biggest roles in because I don't just do horror. I do a
No,
variety.
no, yeah,
Yeah, I do a
yeah.
variety, and but River Beauty, which hasn't come out yet, they show the monster. It's going to be great. It's actually one that I think you would probably really like. Um, they have the main characters. There's the lady here in Kansas City, and a guy who comes in from LA, and I'm probably the third character in it. And I'm kind of an evil sheriff, and I have a mustache that I dyed black so it would look goofy. And they put a big scar on my eye, which evidently was from the monster. And I didn't shave for a week before we started filming, so I look awful.
That's nice. That's
And
nice.
I kind of model it after Ron Fry. His voice and his look is honestly what I was using kind of for my example of how to do the role. It was the director's suggestion. And I think it's going to be a wonderful movie. It was filmed, I believe it was 2022. It still hasn't come out.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really looking forward to seeing that one. And that will be a great, I think that'll be one of the best movies that I think that Robbie's done. Just from what I saw, all the people were great in it. Great acting, scary.
And
It
now,
was like,
was this movie filmed? Was this movie filmed in Missouri and Kansas City itself?
it was filmed in Lake of the Ozarks in Kansas City. There's
Nice,
Lake of the
nice.
Ozarks about 2 hours away. And so we filmed part of it so we could be on boats and stuff, but like the restaurants, hotel, like, different scenes outside. A lot of those were filmed in I think a hardware store we went into. Like a lot of them were filmed in the Kansas City area. And then we were on a boat for a lot of it, and at kind of a site on the shore, and it was really good. I was kind of an evil sheriff, and I love
It
to play the
sounds like
bad
it.
guy. And this
Now,
was good because
why is it that you like to play the bad guy? Because you really do look like a good guy. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. Well,
when I'm
thank
looking at
you,
you,
thank
I'm
you.
going like, you know, this guy, he looked like he'd be the guy coming at the last minute to save the girl. You know, like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
right.
you know,
No,
the Lone Ranger type, right? You
that's
know,
right.
like the girl's gonna get crushed by the creature, and all of a sudden there's the sheriff putting in a clip in it, you know, and saving the day. Um,
Yeah.
but I can see the bad guy look too, you know. I get
Well,
to
the
see
bad guy,
that.
I can make really mean faces and stare and all that. I mean, it's more complicated than that, you know, because you got to make decisions on how you're going to do things. But the bad guy roles to me are so much more fun. And you know, I was talking to someone today, and they were talking about, I don't like to watch myself because all I see is my mistakes. I love to watch myself on film because some girl's dead and we're all crying, or somebody dies and we're all upset, or I'm yelling at somebody or acting really mean and all this. And here it is. I really like the person, or the girl that died, you know, 4 rows in front of me or whatever. You know, it's like, um, I just love it. I love it because it's like, if I can watch it and forget that I'm watching me and just watch it for the movie, I just think that is like so much fun. And every once in a while a scene comes up, and as you watch it, it honestly makes me laugh. Like I was mean to this guy in Wholesome Grove the whole time. He was supposed to be my attorney, and I was the owner and the big shot. And I was
Okay,
such a jerk to this guy the whole time, and all that. It was hilarious to me because I actually really
uh,
liked the guy. I would never
right.
talk to you about that.
I like it when actors they tell me those stories. Like I know some sit there and say like they don't do this because they want to maintain, you know, they want to maintain that aura around it. Like, you know, I've talked to actors who had to do rough scenes, you know, like domestic abuse or sexual assault or whatever. And, you know, they go through the scene. As soon as the scene's over, they're just right there with their partner, like, hey, are you all right? Crack jokes,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
a lot of those actors, you talk to them and you're thinking about the woman, most of the time it's women, and you think about them and what they're going through, you know, in a scene like that. And I don't really think that people think about the guy, you know, the guy doing the crime. You know, you're thinking that he's a tough guy.
oh
You know,
yeah,
he's got this, and then you talk to him afterwards and you tell him, you know, I've had a few here that have, you can hear their voice quaking because you know, it was intense for them too. You know, it was very
yeah,
intense. Okay, we want you to beat up your wife, hit her, and you're sitting there and you're going like, you know, and you think about the girl, you know, like, wow, she just got plastered by that, you know, by her husband. What a bastard, what an asshole, you know. And it's like, well, yes, you know, and then, you know, but yes, but we got to go back to the actor, the human, and sit there and say, hey, are you okay? I mean, you know, it's a tough scene. Are you okay? And maybe crack a few jokes for that person, you know, let them know that, hey, you know, you got this. We got you.
sure,
Um,
sure.
but this is something I tell people, and this surprises me too. Ever since I started doing this show, a lot of times I could watch a movie, any movie, from top to finish, right? No problem. But I have to admit, Kyle, that it's a little rough now, you know, to watch someone you talk to and like, and you see them do a movie, and their character is going to get killed or get beat up or whatever. It's rough.
Well, I'll tell you,
Or
yeah, Dead Legion. We did a series. It was actually in St. Joe, which is like an hour and 15 minutes north of here, where I live. And we filmed 15 episodes. 14 are out on Amazon. And I got killed in that, and like it really did. People really were bothered by my
Mhm,
death because I got shot saving somebody, you know, this whole thing. And
mhm.
I'm dying. And as I'm dying, I'm talking. And I guess it came across real enough that like my wife didn't like it. And other people told
Yes.
me they cried when they watched it. And like it was really kind of touching in some ways. But like to me, when I watched it, and I haven't like, I wouldn't do like a sex scene stuff. Like I wouldn't even do it, honestly. But dying or shooting someone or things like that, I would do that. But watching myself die was hilarious to me
No,
because it's not real.
yeah, I've had actresses, and I've asked them that, your parents watch your films. Oh yeah, and it's like, okay, so what do your parents get? Do they get bothered more by you, being are they more bothered by you in an intimate scene versus dying? And I gotta say, pretty much to the man, it's pretty much the dying. You know, if they, their daughter could be doing a nude scene, and it's like, okay, dad might be a little embarrassed by that, but it's a lot different when you see your daughter on the ground bleeding out. It
Oh
that
yeah.
just that just triggers something in a parent. And I think it triggers something in anybody who knows you. Like after we do this interview, I'll know who Kyle Ament is, and I'll go and I'll watch that scene, and I'll probably go like, "Damn, that's rough."
Yeah, that's
But
right.
but all that means is that you've done your job. That's the thing. When someone complains, when someone mentions something like that really upset me, or that was really tough, and you sit there and go like, you know what? I've done my job. I'm supposed to make you feel that way.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
you're
what
absolutely
acting
right.
is. We're supposed to be telling a story, and you're supposed to feel that way. So it just behooves again to your skill and your commitment to your roles. Um, so let's go back a little bit, because you like I said, you got your career going in 2019, and I'm sure that was really slowed down by COVID in 2020. So did you always want to be an actor? I mean, even back when you were, a young man, before you were married and had a family and a job, was acting something that you wanted to do, and then life got going
Well,
for you? Or
well, no,
how did you get your start?
I had 1 year of theater in high school, and I honestly never thought about it again for many years. And I had jobs where I would be unable, I would not have had time for it. I had a couple big jobs at times that required a lot that it would be impossible for me to put the effort into it. And my job now is one where I travel. So I'm home like this week, and last week I was in Vermont, and the week before I was in Alaska. And I mean, I travel all over the US and Canada. And so I think before that I was like in Nebraska and Kansas City, and, like sometimes not as far. Um, but I have a job now where when I'm off work, I have like some commitments to work, but not like everybody else. Because when you travel for work, you might end up spending an extra night out. You might it's a real hassle. And on planes, I study lines. I have like ways to do it now that I would not have had in the past. And so I started my job that I have now in 2018. And so, yeah, at the very end of 2018 is when I got stuff together to do acting and started sending stuff in. And I think it was in January of 2019 is when I first started getting some background roles and things like that, student films.
Right. What was your
And
family's reaction to, what was your family's reaction, your wife's reaction when you said, I want to do acting, I want to do some acting? What
well,
was her?
my wife and I were in Irving, Texas, which has it has a real high Hispanic population. And we decided we were going to learn Spanish. And we went
Okay.
to a class to learn Spanish, which I know very little of, but we went for the 10 weeks to the class. And our instructor, well, I don't know if you've ever heard of Queen of the South, but
Hmm.
it's a crime series. It's wonderful. And he was in it as a drug cartel guy, not a big role, more background. Like when they were in the bar with the main actors, he was always in the bar sitting at the big table, like where he was like supposed to be a big shot. And he talked
Okay.
about it, and I thought I could do that. I'm in Dallas at the time. There's stuff I could do here, and stuff. And I started looking into it in 2018, and I was an extra in multiple things. I mean, I enjoyed it, and then I was in a couple student films, And I thought that was really even better. And that's when I learned how well you have to study your lines and get into character and all of that. And then eventually took lessons and things from a couple people. And I told her, I said, I'm going to try this. And so I was just trying it to be an extra in the beginning. And so
Right.
basically I eased her into it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's sort of fun to ease into it when you sit there and say, "Okay, I'm an extra, but I'm an extra on this multi-million-dollar big studio, big
Oh yeah.
studio project." I'm gonna, you did 12. You're in 12 Mighty Orphans,
Yeah.
and you were in VFW, which
Yeah.
which
Both
which
in
I
the
I,
Dallas
I I
area.
own both. I own both those movies, by the way. So I'll be looking for Kyle and them. I was really, I was like, when I saw the VFW, I'm like, oh hell yeah, that looked, because I know that movie was a lot of fun, and I said, well, definitely. But to me, I think when people do extras, when you're doing extras, especially early on, um, I think they're so invaluable because you learn how to have set etiquette. Like, and you learn real quick about what you can do, what you can't do, and you learn from that. Because a lot of independent sets are a little bit more relaxed. Uh, our co-hostess is here.
All right. Well, the show's half over.
It's Hollywood late. It's Hollywood time.
Hi, Dilynn.
Hi, Dylan. Hi,
Hi.
Dylan. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Is it hot back there?
No, it's not hot at all.
Oh, okay.
I think it got up to like 80 something today.
Okay. I just had to throw that out there so I can get my one laugh, and so uh
It's
me and
not hot
Diane,
in Topeka yet.
we found out that me and Diane found out that we both absolutely love Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So last time she was here, we were doing that.
Yeah.
We were doing that. Oh my God, it's just has me tears. I laughed so hard at that. Um, welcome, Dylan, and we're just talking with Kyle about how he got his start, and he did some extra work on some big movies. Um, and he was explaining to him, like we're talking about how to act. Because think about it. If you think about this, you're doing two acting jobs when you're on set. You're doing your character's part, and then you're doing yourself part. Like there's a certain way. Oh gosh, the chat's here. Hey Jeff, how are you? Jeff Clark. He's also an actor director based in New York. Fine artist in his own right. Um, yeah. We're learning how. I was saying how you have to learn on set etiquette. Like you have to be, you could be a great actor, but if you're a dick on set, that's not going to work out too well. And chances are you're not going to be there for very long, or get a reputation for being not so professional. And a lot of times that could really hurt someone's career, if they might not even know it. They might be thinking that they're cute. I mean, let me know if he's run across people like this. They might think they're being cute, dropping comments or making jokes all the time, inappropriate jokes or inappropriate at the time, to the other actors, like they're getting ready for a heavy role or a heavy scene, and someone's back there making jokes or whatever, and it's like throwing you off because you're concentrating, trying to build the character, before the shot. Um, so I guess in every movie that you guys make, you're playing two roles. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think so. I was going to say they have in the bigger productions, if you're an extra, you are not with everybody. And I was just on a set, which about every couple of years I'm an extra, and then I say, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. But then I do it again anyway. But they like this one, they had us all on a van waiting, and then they would come in and choose a few of us to go out, and then come back in, choose a few more, but we're separate. from the main actors, other than the scene itself. And that's what they did in Texas too. They had us, like you said you saw 12 Mighty Orphans. They put us all in a gym, and we were in a certain part of the gym and the other people were in another part of the gym, and they kept us all separate. And there were, in that movie, I don't want to exaggerate, but at least a few hundred extras to be football fans, at least a few hundred.
Oh,
And so they dressed every one of us. They had racks and racks of costumes, and they brought us back, and you would get your costume and then go, and they would take your picture, and then you would go sit back in the stands. And that probably took 2 hours.
wow.
And then we all went outside and we cheered for football, and then we came back in, and then we ate. And kind of the eating order, I believe, is crew first, then the main cast and directors, and then the extras go through the line last, which they've done that everything I've done pretty much, like the bigger productions. And then we went back out again and we did it some more. And I still enjoyed the process. And the other thing is, when I was first doing that, I was so new. It was really fun to talk to people in Dallas, because you will make, I think I made $25 on one, $250 on another, and maybe $200 on the other, something like that. Some people, that's what they do for a living, pretty much, is they're an extra on things. And I remember talking to this lady, and she's like, I represent, like, she's the person who represents Budweiser in Dallas and goes to all their stuff, and they have constant things. And then she does extra work, and, she's actually making a living just doing that. And it was fascinating to me, like just talking to different people there, and how much they do it. It's amazing. We don't quite have that in Kansas City yet.
Getting there. Getting there. We're also joined now by yet another talented director, Michael James Bernard. He's from Iowa, and he is a really good filmmaker, and he's getting ready to release his second film, and hopefully that'll be coming real soon. Jeff Clark is here. He mentions principal actors are separated in their trailers from the extras. They usually have different casting directors. So
Yep.
You have your actors, casting directors, and you have your extra casting directors. I wonder what the difference is. I mean, because I guess, man, extra casting director, that's gonna be. What was the experience? What's the experience like? Are the casting directors that do extra casting, are they harried? I mean, do you feel like they're running around all the time,
Well,
or are they smooth and relaxed?
I just, in Dallas and in Kansas City, you send in a picture of yourself, maybe a body shot of yourself, your age, whatever, you send them their information, and they take it and they try, like, if they're gonna have a mix of people, to figure it out. And then when you show up on set, there's a production assistant assigned to you. Maybe last thing I was in, there were 3 of them assigned, and they tell you, here's where you're going to go. They even put tape on the stand-ins. I'm sure you're familiar with stand-ins, but they put masking tape with the name of the person and the name of the character on their shirts, and then they go stand where they need while the main actors are preparing. And I said, we were all in kind of this big, it was a big van, almost like a bus. And then they would call us out like 3 or 4 at a time to go do things. And then we would go back to the van. And there were maybe 20 something of us there that day. And they told me they had a couple hundred, maybe extras that had come through in 8 or 10 days of filming.
Wow.
It was
How long
interesting.
were you there?
What's that?
How long were you there for that one?
I was there for 9.5 hours.
Wow.
And I was in scene for a total of probably 20 minutes. And that's why I always say, I don't want to do this again. I mean, you got to talk to everybody. I like talking to people. I talk to everybody, and then people would move and you wouldn't have anybody to talk to for a while. And then you would move, and then you would talk to people. Then people would move around, just because we were in a van and they'd call us out at different points, this big van, 20 something people in it. And they would just, and that's the way we did it. And you know, it was an okay experience, but I was glad when they said we're wrapped, go home.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Jeff comments, the background actors work very hard. I've seen them stand in 90-degree weather, and they ushered us to seats under a canopy with fans or to the trailers. It's not easy. You're on your feet a lot. I've always envisioned
Yeah.
that. Like, you know, when I've heard people talk about doing extra work, I've always seen them in my mind's eye as they're just standing there waiting for their turn. You know,
Yeah.
like that's a long, you know, it's like it's a long time to be there. You know, you're often there for, you know, the whole 8 hours or so, and that's a long time. And it's like, so where do they all sit at? Especially when they do a 200 extras, you know, like for 12 Mighty Orphans. Where do they all sit?
They put us in the bleachers. We were in a basketball court, and we were in the bleachers for that, and it was heated there. It was kind of cold when they were filming, but it was heated there. And then we would go back out, and then they would let us come back in. And I mean, it was, I said, I don't want to exaggerate because it's been a few years, but I would guess there were around 500 to 600 of us.
Wow.
And they went through everybody, and they relogged all the clothes back and all that. I don't know how long it was, but I imagine it was a 12 or 14-hour day.
Yeah.
And you will not be able to find me because I'm one of hundreds of people in the crowd for the distant shots. You know, they got the people playing football, and then they would have us all cheer on one side or the other, depending on which team you were assigned to. And so we'd cheer, and they had these little things we'd do this with. And I mean, it was okay. But honestly, like, that's probably more than enough. I'm not really like normally an extra, but I did when I first started. It was a good experience, but like I said, I did it a year and a half ago, and I did it like 2 years before that. And every time I say that's it, it's just such a time drain.
It is.
That I just.
Well, one thing I noticed about this, and then we'll move on to your speaking roles. We're definitely going to do that. But I noticed that one thing about a couple of your extra. You worked on movies that were based on true life. You did 12 Mighty Orphans, and then you played a sheriff's deputy in the Laura Cowan story. What was it like working in that movie? I mean, I guess it was a crime drama.
That The Girl in the Garage?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the year and a half ago. It was kind of fun. I mean, you know, basically they had us. I did the ATF agent and LA County Sheriff. And the ATF agent, they had the main person, and then they had all of us like drive our cars up real fast, so you could see the cars. We had plans how we were going to drive up, and they blocked off the streets. I think we were in Overland Park. The Overland Police Department blocked off the streets, and then we all got out and drew our guns. And I think I was assigned to one perimeter, and someone else to the other perimeter. And then there were the main character and another one like that came up on it, and it was kind of fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. And then
were you
LA?
Did you know about the case when after you got?
I didn't. I watched the movie, and I read about it before I was on set, and I was actually really excited that they were doing the movie in Kansas City. And my agent at the time was in charge of casting it, and so had called me, and I even helped. Like, I called other people and got them into the movie.
Oh,
I
nice.
don't know, like I said, I would say probably 8 people
Nice.
were in the movie because she told me what she was looking for and all that. So I called people I knew or sent them messages. I've actually done that. I've done a lot of low key casting. That's like, I hardly ever get credit. I've gotten credit twice for casting, but I've done a lot of low key casting. And so I contacted people and got them in, and then we were. Then it was LA County Sheriff's Department. And so they gave us LA County Sheriff's Department, like looking uniforms, and they pinned on the badges. They didn't sew them on so they could reuse the things, but the LA County was who actually rescued the people. And so they had us little flashlights looking around. I mean, it was okay. It was, like I said, that was, it was a good experience. It was just really cold, and like, We started at 4. I think we finished at 1:30 in the morning, and it was super cold. So like, put on your coat, and then they would say, coats off, and we'd take them and put them somewhere, and we'd come back in, and then we'd be walking around, and they had us, miming like we were looking at things. And I watched it. It actually turned out really good. You can actually see me in that one as an extra.
All right.
If you know who I am in the LA County Sheriff's Department scene. ATF, you can't, but in that one you can.
Jeff mentioned on he appeared as a guest star, a feature guest star on a Law and Order episode, and he says that the extras were there for 14 to 15 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whew.
Yeah.
What's the longest you two have ever been on set for a day? I mean, like, even on location, even when, let's say you're doing speaking parts, what's the most hours you've ever spent on a set, you two?
Oh my. Let's see here. About 12 hours.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many hours it was, but I stayed up all night doing that Krampus, the long short Krampus called Naughty.
Nice.
I think I sent a message to you on it. It's like won a bunch of awards, and I did 5.5 hours of makeup to be Krampus.
Oh wow.
I did, I think, 2 days or 3 days of filming, but the last day was when I was full Krampus, and it took 5.5 hours to get the nails, get the, absolutely fantastic job. The lady who did that was like an expert at this, and put on the wig, and then she starts like trying to make it look natural, like one hair at a time. And
that's awesome.
And I would bet that I was on set. I mean, I don't know, but hours and hours, 12 or more.
I read that, I read what you said, and I was so impressed because it's like, especially for independent filmmakers, the biggest thing and Jeff and Jeff and Michael James, they know this as well. When you see someone show that much dedication to a short film, you gotta, if you hear somebody act like, that has done that, like, like you said, low key, casting, and someone walked up to Jeff or Michael or yourself, and they said, hey, there's a guy, I can recommend, he's solid, he's reliable, he's dependable, he's not afraid to go to need to get the makeup done. I got to think that when you do something like that, when you sit in a chair for 5.5 hours and you don't say anything other than, you're not complaining about it, you're just glad to be there. I got to think that's got to leave some sort of impression on the makeup team and the casting director, and get your name out there. We were talking, earlier about when you don't do that, when you are a bit of an ass on a set, that your reputation can get tagged right there. But I got to think it goes back the other way too. Like to me, I was really impressed when I read that. You have 5.5 hours for a short film. That is dedication.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a film by director Stephen Shade, and he is really professional. He hired a photographer on set to take behind the scenes photo. He pays everybody. He actually even gave me a jacket that I wore during the filming, and it won a bunch of awards. I mean, it was done like the way you would do a feature. I mean, he was like so professional with it. Like I said, I was really impressed. And if he ever does a feature, I hope he includes me. And I was told by someone else that he recommended me for those vertical shorts. And I was cast in those as well, based maybe possibly his influence didn't hurt.
Cool. No. Jeff says all those prosthetics and makeup, is a whole new level. Respect to you, Kyle. I couldn't even do contacts for an indie vampire movie. Sometimes those things happen. You can't help that. What about you, Dilynn? I mean, you've done some. I mean, not only have you done some of those makeups, but you've done it where you've actually been, a little bit uncovered, and for the makeup itself. That's got to be a little bit different too. Like your facial makeup is one thing, but when
Yeah.
someone said that, yeah, we're going to work on your, we're going to put makeup on your body as well. That's got to be a whole different level of, like, what do you do to maintain yourself, and during that, during that process being.
It's really not that hard. It's a closed set when they're doing that. And it's even a closed set when they're filming my parts for that. So it's not terrible. And it's with people that I'm familiar with. I've not had to experience that with anybody I don't know. So that makes it easier. Like with Todd and Amanda, they were the ones there that was doing all the body work and putting everything around, the topless parts. So, and with it being a closed set, it makes things a lot easier.
Hmm. Yeah, that's I think my favorite makeup story is was a young actress named Angel Nicole Bradford, and she started out as a makeup artist too. She was making prosthetics. So she was making, and they lost an actor, I think, and so they came to her and they said, hey, listen, we need you to step up and take over the role. And so she said, okay. So that her character was destined to die in a horror film. He was going to die. She had to make a model of her own head.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to make her own. She had to make her own prosthetic, her own makeup. And then they, for her scene, she made that whole thing. She sat underneath there and did all that work. And then her character got killed by a stomp in the head. So she got to see all her hard work, and then got to see herself stomped on the head with the makeup, with the artist. That is like the most badass makeup story I've heard of.
That's pretty rough. But I will tell you, since you brought it up, I will show you the coolest souvenir that I've ever gotten from a movie. Well, there it is.
Awesome.
If it's a vampire from Bill Hill Road, I'm oh wow, look at that.
Yeah, no, sorry if you can't see it here, but that's
amazing.
That is really cool.
And this is a football case
that you put helmets in, right?
Yeah, no, you put the footballs in them.
Okay.
Yeah, it just it fits perfect in there. But that was the coolest thing that I've ever gotten on set. I've only got really 2 or 3 souvenirs, but that one is pretty good.
Do you look for souvenirs to the both of you, like when you guys do a movie? Do you at the end of the shoot, do you go up to the director or producer and sit there and say, is there any chance I can get a small memento, or do they sometimes just fall into someone's pocket or purse?
Oh yeah, I always ask.
Well, on this one, the discussion with the director was, he's like, man, I wish I could pay you for this. This is going to have to be, I just wish I could do something. And I said, I would love to have that. And he's like, oh, I hadn't thought about it, because he was going to sell it for whatever he could sell it for. And he said, okay. And then he had all the staff sign it.
That's cool.
Not everybody in the movie signed it, but most of the crew, most of the cast signed it. And it was a wonderful gift. In fact, I make a living already. So if you have to choose between getting that or getting the $300 that would bring, I would rather have that.
Yeah, I agree.
How do you build your characters, Kyle? I mean, how do you get ready for because you play a lot of preachers or police officers or what have you. But how do you get into them? How do you build your character? Is it a hard process for you?
I like it that you brought up creatures and police officers together. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think the first thing is I read over the script, try to get a feel for my character. If I can ask the director questions, I will. And then I start writing on the script directly as I go. And then it's a matter of learning the lines and then putting emotion into the words. So it's not just saying the words. And, you can think about your character and who they are and what's happened to them before that day. like what kind of person they are. And I'll just tell you, because I'm in the middle of filming something right now. I'm filming 4 days. I've already filmed 3. And I decided that my character, and now everybody's bought into it like that's the way it is. I decided my character is a little bit afraid of the boss, so I'm not going to be as mean to the boss. But the second in charge, I hate that guy. And anytime it's just me and him, I'm going to kind of step it up and look at him really mean and be really hateful to him. And the lines are such, I could have done the same thing for the boss, but I thought it would be better, even if I'm saying the same things, maybe kind of accusatory to the boss, to soften it. But anytime I'm talking about him, and it's one of my favorite people to work with too, Dan Fecht, who has been in so many things. We've overlapped. We've been in 14 things together here in Kansas City. And so I really like the guy. We actually went on a day trip to go see some giant goose. Like this is one of my favorite people. And I look at him like I hate his guts every chance I get in this movie. And I am truly the villain. And it is a perfect role for me. I love being the villain. Actually, Dilynn and I have talked about that before. It's just more interesting to be the villain.
Mhm.
So like I'm the one trying to rip people off. I'm the one trying to sabotage people. I'm the one doing all this stuff. And it makes it so much fun. And when I watch it, like I told you before, Patrick, I'm going to love it because here I am being so mean to this guy and staring at him and saying things to him like I don't like him. And he's one of my favorite people, and I hope to be sitting right by him in the movie.
How did you and Dilynn meet?
Go ahead, Dilynn.
Just at Wolf Moon Rising. That's what I remember.
I don't know if I met you in TNT Jackson before.
Yeah, we filmed separately, didn't we? Yeah, we weren't
we probably
on the
did.
same
Probably in
day.
the big meetings. So yeah, TNT
Yeah.
Jackson. I might have said hello to you, but then Wolf Moon Rising.
It's kind of brief, so yeah.
I was
But
not
I
really
think
in TNT Jackson.
Wolf Moon Rising was the biggest when we actually got to interact and talk and get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me up for this too. That was very kind of you.
Of course.
Now, had you known of each other? I mean, and it's a pretty small, it's pretty small film community in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Now, were you each aware of the other's work before you met? I mean, does that happen in a smaller film community? Do you often hear about names before you necessarily work with them?
Yeah, I have like through other people's posts and stuff, and then being online, seeing him posting stuff. But so with Daniel Fenn and I'm not really sure who all, just random posts that I would see from through Kansas City of different projects and stuff. And I would just see those names, and then I can't remember if I sent you a friend request before TNT or after. I don't remember. But
I don't remember. I wanted to watch because I saw Todd Sheets' Bone Hill Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not in it. It was made probably in 2015 or 16, came out in 17.
Yeah.
But I saw that movie and I thought, oh my goodness, this is a Kansas City director. And I thought, I have got to be in something that I really wanted to work with him when I saw Bone Hill Road. It was like just amazing that it came out of Kansas City to me. And so
right.
So I saw they were auditioning for TNT Jackson, and it's kind of like I have an acting buddy that we help each other audition, kind of prepare for things, and we've been in things. We were in Dead Legion together. That's where I met Marcus McIntosh.
Oh, nice.
And so he and I were both filming Dead Legion. And I talked him into coming to the audition. And
good.
then I got in one of the 6 episodes and he's in all 6. but Marcus is great because we will never compete with each other because he's like 15 years younger than me.
Right.
He's African-American. Like there's no way I would be unlikely for us ever to compete. And it's so much easier than someone who looks like me
right.
In this thing, because then we'd be competing for parts where he and I are not.
Yeah.
But no, he got a great role in that, and I was really happy for him.
Yeah, is that how does that work? I mean, to be perfectly honest, you guys go, whether or Kyle or you, Dylan, actually go to an audition, and you find yourself competing with a friend, for the role like that, for we got, how does that? I mean, how do you feel when you win it or when you lose it? I mean, it's like, especially if it's someone, a peer of yours who you really like. I mean, I know you're supposed to put on a smile and and say congratulations, but does it really though? I mean, isn't it sting a little bit sometimes? I mean, naturally, like, damn, I really wanted that role, but it didn't work out. Is it hard to get over that, especially when it's someone you know?
I can't really answer that because I've not had to compete against anybody. All my friends, except for the theater community, because I just started working with them. But
Right.
aside from that, I really don't have friends that are in the film industry. They don't go out and act. So I don't know, honestly. I wouldn't know what that's like.
Well, I have
Uh,
I am like with filming and stuff. Like, I know hundreds of Kansas City actors, at least acquaintances that I've met.
Yeah.
But usually, like I would say, because of COVID, I remember when I first I got to Kansas City in 2019, auditioning. You go by yourself. A lot of times there's nobody else there besides one or two people that are auditioning you, or I met at the library, and then I don't find out if I didn't get the role because nobody calls me until I realize, okay, I guess it's been long enough. They didn't want me. And then when I watch it, I see who did it and
Mhm.
who got the role. And I have had a couple times where I thought I probably would have been a better choice, but I know I'm biased. But there were a couple times where I thought, wow, that was a way better choice than me because of the type of role it was. Like, that was a better choice.
Yeah.
But now a lot of times it's online. Like I have all sorts, like I have a green screen and I have a couple of these, one for a table, and you set up your phone on horizontal, and I do it sometimes in front. I've got these maroon drapes, and then I have a blue drapes in another room, and I have a green that I put out because you don't want any distractions behind you. Unlike tonight, I want people to be distracted so they don't have to listen to me. But you don't want any distractions. And then I make my poor wife read with me, and she hates it
I was
unless
gonna
I can
ask you,
get Marcus to
does
do it.
she read lines? Does your wife read lines with you?
She does read lines with me. Actually, like I said, I was talking about this. I can only remember one project at a time. The project I'm currently working on, I've filmed 3 days, and all 3 days, my poor wife has had to read lines with me to practice. Because I'll just tell you, like, I kind of go through, learn the lines, and then once you learn them, then I have her read them with me. And then I go and I look at my notes on what I have for emotions, and then I try it different ways and figure out what matches, and I change my notes and to that. And like a lot of things, I would say probably a third to half of what I do, maybe more. I'm the bad guy, probably more than half, actually, if I really think about it. And my dogs get terrified. They start wanting to come in and protect me, and they get nervous. So,
Oh, I
like
know that
if I
feeling.
yell, or if I say, things like that, it scares my dogs. And so
Hmm.
try to put them outside and then read the lines with my wife.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
it makes it harder to practice full emotion sometimes because of the dogs.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a golden retriever and a German Shepherd mix.
Right, guys.
She
That'll
looks
do
like
it.
a little German Shepherd, but she's really not full German Shepherd. She's about 55 pounds, small German Shepherd. My golden retriever is almost 80 pounds, but he thinks he's a German Shepherd. He forgets he's a golden retriever. He barks at the door. He'll bark at strangers he doesn't know, all that stuff. Play top dog.
That's
I
Jeff
know
mentioned
Dylan has a
all this.
German Shepherd.
yeah.
Yes.
Is she
And
right there with
we
you?
have this small little rambunctious one that escaped my son's room right now, so she's
Oh.
all over me right now.
Jeff mentioned auditions suck. The worst part of the process. But one thing I caught you said what you just said, Kyle. Really, the one thing you said that I caught was you said you know hundreds of Kansas City actors. So how big is Kansas City as far as films go? I mean, are there a lot of projects going on, or just a lot of people looking to get into a project? Like, is there a lot going on, or is it
There's
just
a
a lot of
lot going
actors
on
who?
all the time, and there's like I've been the one I'm currently in is Eric Willis, and he started a pattern of every fall doing a full feature and then doing maybe 4 or 5 short films the rest of the year. And there's a guy named Tanner Smith, who's just prolific filmmaker, probably makes 6 or 8 features a year. And I might be exaggerating. Maybe
That's
4 to
6 to
6
8 a year.
features a year. He was doing 3 features at the same time. So, I mean, he possibly this year is doing 6 to 8. And there's other people that do like the contest. Like we have Independent Film Coalition, Kansas City. I go to their meetings like twice a year. They get together and they'll do like I've been in 2 of their contests, but they do things like, here's a script and we're going to give it to 4 or 5 directors. And then it's make it under 6 minutes. You have 2 months to do it. Decide who you're going to get to work with, whatever. And they give it to 4 or 5 directors. And then they do another script to another group of directors, another script to another. And then you go that night and you watch them and you vote on which was the best clown at a funeral, which one I was in was Clown at the Funeral. And it was the best of the 4 or 5. And then which is the best overall. And they vote on that. And then the other thing was it's a 10-hour film festival. And they choose like at 8 in the morning, right at 8. And the movies are due at 5 p.m. And at 6, you see, or 6:30, you see them at the theater. And so at 8 o'clock, they said, just picture random things. A pair of someone has to wear glasses and take them off. And you have to use the phrase, that's an awful lot for me. And you have to, and you have to have a fan. I think we had to have a fan in this one, whatever it is, like you do those elements and you make a movie. And they had, 20 teams. And I was on a team. There were like 10 of us on my team. And they do stuff like that. There's short films and there's always college films putting stuff out on Actors and Filmmakers Kansas City. But I mean, this is my 12th project this year. I did, I think, 2 or 3 vertical shorts. This was my 3rd feature. I did an advertisement. I did one of the film festivals. I mean, you can keep yourself busy with this stuff. We did a trailer for a movie, raise funds. There's like
I already know. If they had to put a line, if I had to put a line in the movie, I already know which line I put in. And Dilynn,
what is it
too? You want to tell the line? You want to tell the line, Dilynn?
Hot in Topeka.
Not in Topeka.
Hot in
Topeka. He's a toe picker.
As soon as he said that, I'm like, oh god, this is too good to pass up. I know exactly the line I put in there.
Well, because we never said our names in that 8-hour film festival or 10-hour total film festival, they said, what do you want your names of your characters? Well, my dad, when I was a little kid, when we would go to get food, I was always so embarrassed because he would say he's Mortimer. And they would call out, Mortimer, order for Mortimer. And they would have me go up and get it. So I made my character Mortimer.
Awesome. I like it.
And the guy said, why did you choose Mortimer? Like, is that right? Is that what you really want?
I've known a lot of people have done that as practical jokes. They'll get there early to a restaurant and they'll sit there and say, ask for this person's name, and they'll give this name. I did that to my buddy Romy. We got there early and I told the people, like the party of 5, I says, yeah, when it's time, just call him a catfish. And so we're sitting there waiting. All of a sudden, you hear him say, "Catfish party of 5." Yeah, he knew who that was.
That's great.
Now those are really intense. I've heard of 48-hour film festivals, but
Yeah.
never an 8-hour festival. That's got to be how crazy is that? I mean, do you feel like do shows like that? I mean, do movie filmmaking like that? Do you really feel as an actor you actually gain anything for that, or do you
Well,
feel like it's more of a stunt?
Well, it was fun. I showed up. I didn't really know who was going to be on my team. Keegan, who was in Wolf Moon Rising, at least at some capacity. I'm not sure, Keegan, if you've ever met her before, but she was in Wolf Moon Rising. And then I knew, Larry Parrish. He was in Southern Fried Romance with me. And like, it's just like basically, and Megan Hitchcock Smith, who I've been in multiple things with. And I showed up, and it was really nice because I knew a bunch of people there that were on my team. And we came up with a kind of a pattern, the ones that were there. Oh, and Mary Beth Smith, who played my mother in Wholesome Grove, she was on my team. So like I said, it's a limited number of people in Kansas City. If you start doing this stuff, you see a lot of the same folks. And we came up with a plan because she was the lady who played my mother is like 11 years older than me or something. And so she's really obsessed with, how could I be your mother? What happened to me? Like, like doing all this stuff. And so then I don't know if it was her, Larry Parrish, but he said, hey, we can all play like there's some sort of related to this. Like, this. And so it's basically, she's sitting down at the bench. We kind of planned out what we were going to do. And it only, I forgot, 4 minutes is how long this could be. 4 minutes. Wow. So really short. And I sat down and she starts talking to me and I'm like, are you talking to me? And she's like, what? And then she says, I'm not your mother, and gets up and leaves. And then I'm there and the next person comes over and starts talking to me and I leave. And then the one guy, I come back to pick something up and Larry Parrish says, I think you're my son. And, we had like this little plan. And the other lady said, that sounds like you're talking about my brother, when he was talking about his son. And we just had this little plan and it came together. And Greg Rebuck, who was the kind of the team, Greg and Barb were the people in charge of it, our group. And he talked about, he had the idea of the bench and little, I don't know if you know, but Kansas City has more fountains than anywhere in the world but Rome, and more working fountains than anywhere in the world. So we have fountains. And he had done a movie, The Fountains of Kansas City, and so fountains are a big deal to him. So we did it by a fountain on a bench, and he had the plan of each. It's called Approach the Bench. Each person comes up and kind of switches with the next person. And that was his plan. And it was a great plan. And then we kind of came up with our own little dialogue, and it was fun. I mean, but as far as will
sounds like it was totally 100%.
Actor, I don't know, but improv possibly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like 100% improv training.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like doing improv, Kyle? Or is that a strength of yours?
Well, I did that day. If probably the closest improv I can get is if you have a script and then it says, talk about something here. Like in Best Day of Your Life, they said, insert pieces of a sermon here. So I made up a sermon and he used the whole thing. And it became it actually increased my role size. Like I had a couple minutes of monologue. I still use it as my monologue. It's on my IMDb.
Oh, hell yeah.
I made up a story about a starfish and I told the story, but I had 3 or 4 weeks to think about it before we filmed. And he just, it just says, do bits, and it gave me a chance to think about it. And it was actually really funny. You can watch it and see it someday.
Definitely.
Jeff wants to know, says, are you guys in acting classes? And if so, do you study any techniques?
I'm not.
I have been in acting classes, and as far as the techniques, honestly, I had my first coach focused on kind of the emotion wheel, where you say everything using different emotion and you read the same lines and the same thing. And that was like a big focus. And we prepared and filmed like a Zoom call with each other and all this. And we did that a few times. And then my next coach actually helped me get ready for roles and basically kind of like, here's some things to think about for your roles. And that was it. And I probably met with her like 16 times. But no, probably not like the official class. Like these were both Kansas City folks, Kansas City Film Productions and Fantasy, kind of a play on her last name. But that's the one who I really felt the preparing me for the scenes really helped me, and talking about scene shifts and all of that. She's an excellent actress as well as a great coach.
Right on.
Now, both of you have worked with well-known actors. Dilynn, you've worked with Linnea Quigley. I saw, Kyle, you worked with Butch Patrick. What's it like sharing, doing a scene, having a scene partner with well-known actors or personalities? I mean, do you find yourself approaching it any differently than you would if it was just a peer, like a community, one of your local peers, or do you get a little bit more anxious or more determined to do a good job when you are partnering with a personality or an actor?
Oh, let's see. After I get over the giddiness of getting to meet her, before we start any scenes, then it's just on like I would any other scene. I do 100% of what I can do. So, I forget what's going on, and I'm in the zone. I'm in the character, and I'm not thinking about what's going on. So, but yeah, before that though, I'm less like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I love this. I love your Night of the Living Dead, blah, blah, blah. Can you sign this? But after that, it's done, and then it's game on.
Right. How about you, Kyle?
Well, I actually was not in a scene with Butch Patrick. We were in the same movie. I met him. I took a picture of him with my goofy mustache and needing to shave badly, like I was telling you about earlier. But I was in, like I said, I don't know how famous people are, but I have a feeling a couple of these might be someday. But Dan Gregory out of New York, he's won Best Actor awards multiple times. He's been in a lot of big movies with very small parts, but in big movies. And Michael Mattsson, who's from Sweden, who lives in LA now, has come to Kansas City for a couple projects that I've been in. And they both are wonderful. And my experience with them was very positive.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I mean, as far as you mentioned before about playing bad guys, of course, Dilynn, you play both bad girls and good girls, and what is it like? We talked about this before, but I want to go into it a little bit deeper. But what is it about? And maybe Jeff can throw in his opinion as well. But what is the attractiveness of doing villain roles? Why do actors love the villain role? Other than it's more fun. I mean, I would like to go a little bit deeper than that answer. But what makes a villain part so attractive to an actor?
Because you can literally be dramatic. Like, you can be over the top, and it's gonna be forgiving, in my opinion. Like, you can just really dive in. How do you feel? What do you think, Kyle?
Well, I think like if I were acting and this was like let's say I'm doing the podcast and I'm just acting and we're not really doing a podcast, and I'm talking to you and we're doing the podcast, it's pretty much would be similar to what I would do in real life. But when I get to be the bad guy, I get to go outside myself, and it's truly acting, and it's just it's really fun for me. And I told you, like, I love watching it afterwards. I think it is so much fun to see yourself doing something so much out of character. And I just, like I said, I feel like it's less challenging for me. Like it's the same amount of challenge roughly for me to talk like we're doing right now,
Yeah.
or to all of a sudden, to get in character and do it in a real mean way. If I were to say, like, it's not much, it's an easy transition, but when you watch it on screen or you watch it on Amazon Prime or whatever you're watching it on, it's hilarious to me. Like, it really is. I get a lot of joy out of it. And the other thing is, like, you will get a lot more compliments from people because they're like, wow, that was a lot of emotion. Scenes that you cry in, scenes that you're really angry in, more so than scenes that you're happy in. And when you watch the performance, it's more fun to watch. If I'm like, oh, I just think, Patrick, you're just doing such a great job. I mean, you were such a great podcaster. Then that's going to be like, okay, thank you, and dismissed. But if someone says the opposite, I say, why do you even have a podcast? I don't understand what you're doing. And like, anybody can make a podcast. And then it's like, I remember that guy.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm waiting for the day that someone does that to me. I truly am. I'm waiting for the day because I'm not gonna do what most people would do and just bail. I just want to sit there and it's like, wow, if I ever get somebody to that point, I just want to watch them go.
You must be doing a good job if you get someone at that point.
Indeed.
But I'm not a rabble rouser. But I mean, I've only had a couple of guests that come on that had like an agenda or something like that, and I let them have their rope. I let them go to a certain point before not. But I've never had anybody go explosion on me.
But see, in the end, the person who says you're doing a great job, thanks for having me on, those are nice people. Those are good people.
Yeah.
But boy, that guy who yells like that someday, or that lady who yells like that, you're going to remember that. But so if it's in a movie,
and you know what? I'll be honest with you, that really sucks. Really sucks.
In a movie,
I'm talking about real. Like you make a great movie, and the movie's great, and maybe there's something off. Maybe there's something slightly off with the dialogue, or maybe the effects weren't a little CGI or whatever. And then overall it's a good movie, and there's 300 people there sitting there saying it's a great movie. You did a great job on it. And then you got those one or two sitting over there going like, I don't get it. And what kills me is when the director or the actor or what have you, they don't dwell on the 300 people that are sitting there saying that's a badass role. You kicked ass. They only concentrate on the ones. They only concentrate on the one or the two people that sat there and said, I didn't get it. I mean, it's like, you would think that it's like, okay, well, maybe next time you will, and then move on to the 300 people that are showing you nothing but love and respect. But it isn't like that, is it?
No, probably not. Probably not. But the bad guy roles are more memorable. They're more fun. I enjoy doing it. It's the one where you get to watch yourself and actually really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Speaking of dogs, I gotta mention our good friend Steve is here from Arizona, and he's got a beautiful dog, a black Labrador named Lucas, who we call Lucas Boy, and they just came inside the chat and they said hello. Lucas is a ham. I tell Steve I think his dog is part cat. I really do. I think he's such a ham. Jeff mentions villain roles are much more complex and layered, and I think because you can dig deeper and portray someone or something you never would in real life, it's much more intriguing for sure. That is true, because I mean, it is to me, especially. I think what's really cool, and it is true, is when you see an actor who's done nothing but good guy parts, right? Like I'll talk about one that I just recently saw. So I like Dylan McDermott, right? Dylan McDermott has done a lot of good roles. He's been in the FBI. He's been in the Line of Fire. He's played a good guy in so many roles. He's just And then I saw him do a movie called The Clove Hitch Killer. Let me tell you, you go in there, you go in there and you see the guy, you go in there and seeing him for, for all the roles that he's done. Then you see this one role, the one bad guy role, and then after that, that's what you see. You don't really remember. It's like Anthony Hopkins is the same way. He always played a nice guy. He's always playing an English gentleman, class and dignified. But good Lord, he played Hannibal Lecter, and the whole perception of Anthony Hopkins changed overnight. It just all of a sudden now, not necessarily typecast, so to speak, but people, before they would sit there and like, I would go in the elevator with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, I'd go on a boat cruise with him. Now you're not so sure. Now you see the man and you're like, but again, like we were talking about earlier, it's like, that's because he's done his job.
One of the things, like when he did that role, like, I mean, you can watch, if you watch it, like, and I would probably dissect it more now than I did when it first came out. But part of the things is sometimes you choose with what body part to lead with.
Baby.
And
sorry, guys.
Look at that. So Dylan's dog stealing the scene right there.
That's right. That's right. He chose to lead with his forehead so his eyes would be down like Clarice, and did all that. And it made it more scary. Where if he would have said the same thing upright, but by turning his head down, it like made it more scary. And I think like that's what you do, like if you really want to be good at things, is you figure out those little, tweaks that you make to your character. And with hers, like he made where he said his words more enunciated. He put his head down as he spoke, where he's kind of peeking at you, hiding. He softened his voice as the words were softer. Like he made a lot of choices to produce that character. And that's what you do, like whenever you're going to do a bad guy role, depending on the role, but you make choices on, I'm going to lead with my teeth. I'm going to lead with my forehead. I'm going to point as I talk. Whatever it is you're going to do, you do something, and that becomes that character. That when you are in that, you're in that character. That's what you do.
I got a question for you too. I saw the same thing too in another movie that gets overlooked. I'll mention it here because after I saw it, it really blew me away. I was like, man, after this, I was like, man, this. I mean, like the movie I was talking to you before, No Tears in Hell. Man, I gotta tell you that guy who plays his name's Luke Baines, and he's a fine actor, and he plays this guy named Alex. Alex is like the last person you want to meet. In fact, let's put it this way: Alex could be Dr. Lecter's son. Let's put it that way. And we both know their eating habits now, but man, the uncomfortability that you feel around these characters, and then it translates off the screen into real life. Like, like I said this too. I said, I really, the guy gave such a great performance that I got nervous. Most of the time it'd be someone I go and ask to interview. I got to be honest with you. I really hesitated on that. I told the director, I says, I don't know if I feel that comfortable interviewing this guy because he's so, he was just so damn creepy. It's like, how much of that is him in real life? Like, did he put any of himself in that character? Because, and you're sitting there going like, I'm not so sure. Now I would. I do that in a heartbeat. But when I first saw the movie and I'm sitting there watching it, I'm going, man, I'm not, that's just, But let me ask you guys this. What are and of course everybody in the chat can jump in here as well too, but name me 3 great villains, as far as, you can put the actor's name in it. You put the actor's name, put the actor's name. What are 3 great villain roles that you've seen other people do that just have left you just amazed?
I'm horrible at naming actors, but one of my favorite movies ever, and it is a big budget movie, Rise of the Lycans. I loved Underworld Rise of the Lycans.
Yeah.
And I don't know his name, but the guy who, oh no, Bill Nye, I know his name. But I was thinking of the guy who played the werewolf. I loved his character.
Okay.
The main guy. I thought he did a great job. Bill Nye, of course, does a great job.
Yeah. Okay, that's one. Tell me give me two other ones that really like when you gone to the theater that really caught your attention.
Give me a second. My dog's choking on something.
But I love the bad guy roles, so I surely can think of more than that.
Hope your dog's okay.
Oh, she is. She's got hairball. She thinks she's a cat too.
Probably is part cat. Jeff mentioned Linda Blair. Wow, that's an interesting choice. Oh, from Exorcist when she was possessed. Yeah. You know what though? I never saw her as the villain. I just saw her as being, she's being possessed. But yeah, that's a really good role too. I mean,
really?
The
yeah, that's a good.
The Sopranos had lots of good characters in it, and the guy who played, his name was Pussy in the thing. He was actually an ex-con who took that role. He's the one who had his hair slicked back, and he had gray stripes in it like this.
Right. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he was excellent. Like at staring people down, like his demeanor. And again, he kind of did he kept his head like this, but he always tilted his head down, like when he was going to threaten people, just like he had these little transitions. And he had served prison time and had talked about while he was in prison, people came in and did a play, and he thought, I could do that. So when he got out of prison, he went into acting and got, jobs as mafia guys and hitmen and stuff like that.
Paulie Walnuts. That's I think his name was Tarico, his last name. But
I thought he was absolutely fantastic in that environment. Like they had all the Sopranos, they were all bad guys, but he's the one that I appreciated the most.
I was amazed by the acting job that Steven Van Zandt did. I was like, because the only thing I've ever known him before is being a guitar player for for Bruce Springsteen. I didn't know he acted at all until they're saying how he did a nice job in The Sopranos. And then when I started seeing clips of the show, I was like, holy shit, this guy's really really legit. He's pretty amazing. And of course James Gandolfini was great, but he was always a great bad guy.
Yeah,
Gandolfini. He was really evil in 8mm. Let's see. Jeff mentioned Javier Bardem. And
yes, that's what I was trying to think of. He was great. That was one of the best roles ever. I mean, he did a fantastic job.
How about you, Dilynn? I'm sure you've seen a few villainous roles that have caught your eye.
Yeah, but names are on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't think of them. But the guy who he was also in the underworld as the vampire, but he played I want to call him an octopus guy, Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Bill Nye.
Yeah, Bill Nye. Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, the same pace. See, I couldn't remember what his name was. I just know the face because he gives great facial expressions.
What about Mac's brother?
Who?
Mac's brother from Foster's. He was a pretty good bad guy.
I believe you. And then there's a girl. God, man, I wish I could remember her name. But she was the bad witch in Harry Potter, and then she was also with Johnny Depp, huh?
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was great.
Yes. She was. Yeah, she was evil.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a good pick. That's a really good pick. Yeah, there's people tend to sleep on women as being master villains, but man, you do that at your own risk. There's been some really good women villains, and throughout the years. Um, you're talking about playing, or you could be a little bit over the top. And as soon as you guys said that, I'm thinking Faye Dunaway, I'm thinking Joan Crawford, I'm thinking Betty Davis,
Yeah.
all Barbara Stanwyck. I mean, all those ladies always played, they played villains, and they just were so over the top.
Hmm.
And but yeah, you have a lot. I think you probably, is it true? You think as actors, do you have a lot more freedom to act evil than you do when when you're a good guy? There's rules that you have to observe. You can't hurt anybody innocent. You can't hurt anybody. They gotta be brought into the court of law. I mean, you gotta be chased. Uh,
Yeah.
so I can understand. I can understand as far as the creative freedom goes in playing a villain. Um, but what role? What's your dream role for you guys? I mean, if you had to play one role, that you've seen in a movie in the past, and you had a chance to play it today, what role would you pick and why?
Man, that's a tough one for me. What about you, Kyle?
Well, the werewolf in Rise of the Lycans, I think I could have done that role. It's not as good as he did, possibly, but I think I could have done that role and matched the emotions because they tell his backstory, and so you kind of know what he's gone through, and you can see it in the way he plays the character. You feel like you're really watching someone who went through watching his fiance or wife, whatever she was, die at her father's hand just because she was with a werewolf, and how he wants revenge against the vampires. I mean, you can just really tell it. And I think that would be a fantastic role to be offered something like that. That would be a fantastic role.
I have to say, now that I think about it, the Scream franchise is not the Scream, the Scary Movie franchise was my favorite horror comedy. I think that would be fun to be in that one. And those were just that one
That
girl.
would be.
And again,
I
I'm
definitely
having
would see you do that.
name problems, but she's amazing. I love her as an actress.
Jeff said he would love to play Bruce Willis in Die Hard or The Sixth Sense. He's such an underrated actor, mostly thought of as an action star, but he actually had range. He was great in The Jackal too. I tell you, one of my favorite roles for Bruce Willis is definitely Tears of the Sun. Man, I lose it every time I watch that movie. I watched the final fight. Man, I lose it every time. No lie. That's a really underrated film. And look who walked in through the door. It's the owner of the best name on YouTube. It's our good friend Michael Heroic Waffles. Waffles is back. I had a feeling he'd be back once the Yankees fell out of first place. I said it's only a matter of time before we hear from Waffles, and sure enough, here he comes. Glad to see you, Michael. We'll catch up for sure, man. Before you pull another a ghost on us. Hopefully you won't do that. Hopefully you'll stick around. Love to talk to you. All right, we have hit our mark. Actually, we have. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much. I've had an absolute blast. And Dilynn, you could do this. You could do a podcast if you wanted to.
I don't know. I didn't have very much questions to ask.
You know what? I'm gonna work with you on that, and I'm gonna have you come back and do this again. And then after that, I have maybe something you and your husband can explore down the line, because I think you'd be really good at it. Do you guys have? Why don't you guys ask? I'll tell you what. For the last question, I'll each let you ask the other a question, and I'm just gonna sit over here and watch you guys go at it. So you guys each ask the other a question, and then I'm gonna go over to the chat and sit with them.
Has he asked you what your favorite project was that you worked on?
I don't think so.
So what's your favorite project or movie that you've done?
Oh my goodness. It's actually really hard.
I know.
I would say probably the most fun that I had was with Dead Legion. because I got to meet a lot of people, and we killed zombies, and it was really fun.
Nice.
And I filmed so much, I did 21 days of filming. Marcus did 40 something days of filming.
Oh, wow.
I die in the 9th episode. He's in all 15. So, but it was just fun getting to know people, and they like the Pinions, who were the ones that were doing it. They were like so wanting to make sure everybody was nice and that everybody was happy both. Like you signed something and it said no, like you can't bully anybody. There's no talking down to anybody. There's not like they were just wanted to make sure, and you signed it in the contract and they went over it. They wanted to make sure it was real positive, and there was no problem because everybody on that set was great. And
Nice.
I saw them for months of my life.
That's awesome.
Now you can ask her a question.
I've got a question for what advice would you give to someone who said, I want to get started and I want to do horror? What advice would you give?
Definitely don't. I mean, you could Google on Chrome for auditions and all that stuff, or whatever your Google site is that you use. But I would say what helped me get into it was actually hitting the search bar on Facebook. And I just put in auditions near me. And that's how I found the Kansas City group. And that's how I found Amanda and Todd. So all you got to do is just hit keywords in the search button, and you'll find all kinds of acting groups out there and auditions and stuff that might be close to you and stuff like that. So if you're looking to get into that stuff, that's how I found it. Because if you go on to and you go and Google in your web search and stuff, you're not really going to find a whole lot of stuff other than third parties like Backstage and stuff like that. So, or Actors Access, which is nice to have, but that's for Actors Access. I think is for people who know the business of acting and have managers and agents. Because doing it solo, because I'm on there right now and I'm not having any luck with it because I don't have an agent. But if I would have an agent, they would actually get the hookups of the actual big projects that are going on. Because for people who aren't SAG, when they upload their casting calls, they only have a certain amount of time because they're not SAG. They only have maybe 2 weeks before their actual shoot date. So it makes it extremely tough to want to audition for stuff when you don't know if you're going to be able to do it or not when it's only 2 weeks out, especially when you have to take time off work and all that stuff. So most people can, but other people really can't. So it makes it a little more difficult. So I would definitely say before you do anything higher, just search your local areas, go into theater, even though a lot of that's mostly comedy, but that will at least get you some acting chops going. And then the audition process is what you want to look for, not necessarily getting a part. But if you've never auditioned before, definitely go to your local theater and start auditioning there to get the feel of auditioning, especially being around other people. That's what I would suggest.
I would add on to this too, as far as if you're going to use groups, make sure you use groups that are private. Public groups are a cesspool. Half of them don't speak English, the other half are scammers.
I would do when you're looking there. The Kansas City one, I don't know if that's private anymore or not, but it used to be public. But they got admins there that actually try to keep out the scammers, and they are actually active in that group, and that makes it kind of nice there.
Yeah.
I was a moderator for 2 years on the group, and I rejected anybody that didn't have a Kansas City connection. And anybody that was from far away, like there's no need, because it'll just be a post that says, hey, I live in name the place, Barcelona. I live in London. I would love to do a part in Kansas City if there's any lead roles. And like it's like a total waste of time. So like I just rejected all of them.
Now I do tend to, like, when I advertise my interviews, I do tend to go into other people's groups. Like, like I know you're from Missouri. but I still put you in Iowa. I still put you in North Carolina. I put you in. The reason why is because you never know. Some director might be might be seeing you and might be looking for a part, might be looking for a role, and you might just roll up there and be that person. Not everybody can find everything always in their hometown, in their area. Sometimes you got to go beyond the scope, and go out there and find somebody who might be a little bit away. You might have to bring them on in. So that's the reason why I personally advertise all to everybody.
That's
Like
great.
for Jeff, I would advertise to Texas or California, because you just never know who might be looking and who might need that kind of actor. So, but I'm with you about the other part. Like if I'm sitting in here and somebody comes up there from Barcelona, or I like the ones that have come in there like, I like to be an actor. How do I do it? It's just like if you didn't know how to do it when you came inside the group, then especially then you would then you start it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like, one thing, you gotta ask the right questions, and someone sitting there, help me become an actor, and it's like, I'm just I'm just trying to figure it out myself. I'm not necessarily into I don't think I could do my career and bring somebody else with me necessarily.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing, is you can't really help anybody become an actor. All you can do is direct them
Mhm.
on where to go and say,
Right.
hey, go here, try there, or send someone this message. Uh, that's all you can really do. You can't say, hey, I'm going to make you an actor. Not even your agent can do that.
Mhm.
It's really
Right.
up to you and what you're willing to do.
And sometimes the other thing I do, and I know maybe this is way out of my range, way out of my, maybe I'm out of my lane doing this, but sometimes I'll see someone advertising a short film, and they're sitting there going like, I can't offer you any money. I can't do money. And I'm thinking to myself, going like, you know what? If you got enough equipment together and you got an idea together, and if it's important to you, and you're making that investment, I think you need, one of the things you need to learn as a filmmaker is you need to budget. And that what that means is, maybe you can't pay that person a lot of money, but you sure as hell can put 25 bucks in his tank, and you can sure as hell feed him. But just to come out there and sit there and say, I can't, the only thing I can give you is an IMDb credit. Well, you know what? They're going to get that regardless. They're gonna get that. If they work on your
Mhm.
project, guess what? They got the credit. You have nothing to do with it. As soon as you make your film and you show it, that person go to their IMDb page and put it on there. So you can't stop them from doing that. But you certainly can show respect to the artist, especially someone, who's coming from a little bit away. You certainly
Mhm.
can feed them, to have a craft table for them. It doesn't have to be super fancy, but it has to be a table. And also put, like I said, put 25 bucks a gas in a tank. You know, Otherwise, I just feel like I see a lot of people get discouraged in groups, because it's like, it costs so much money to be an actor, and I don't necessarily think it needs to be. Just take care of the talent. That's the most important thing as a director. Just learning out, just starting out. It's not know how to set up a shot. It doesn't know how if you what camera you use. It's how you take care of your talent. How you cast them, how you treat them, how you compensate them, because they're just like you. They're out here on their own time too. They want to improve. They want to get better. I mean, I'm maybe on a soapbox here, but I see a lot of those in those acting groups. I can't give you anything, but I still want you to do my project.
Right. Where are you
Um,
from, Patrick? Where are you out of?
I'm out of Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, okay.
Jeff says, Pat, you can be my agent. Mine isn't getting me any work, and I like the way you talk about talent. No, that's how I feel. I worked for 10 years as a live music as a live music booker, talent buyer. I saw hundreds and hundreds of bands, and my number one thing was to take care of my bands, make sure they got compensated the best I could get them compensated. I I don't believe in working for free. I just don't believe that. They have people saying, audition night or open mic night or whatever. I still think that whoever gets out there and puts themselves out like that deserves a little compensation. All right, that is our show for tonight. I guess I should ask Kyle, what do you got coming up next? And Dilynn, what do you have upcoming next on your plate?
Good, Kyle.
Well, right now I'm just finishing up Finding Tessa, which is a movie by Eric Willis. It's kind of about orphans trying to find a home. More than that, I'm the bad guy trying to kind of do bad things, ruin people's lives, etc., for my own benefit. And that's what I've got going on now. And I've been cast in a couple other things. One is a corrupt judge in a movie, The Boss of All Bosses. And I guess that's all I have actually scheduled right now.
And you, Dilynn?
Well, other than doing the touring with the Wolf Moon Rising as much as I can, money-wise, I'm slated to do some filming down in Texas in November for Bed and Rotting. And I'm not really sure how to pronounce the character name. See something? I don't know. I read it, but I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So I figured she'd tell me that when I get down there. But I'm supposed to be like this gymnast and like kind of a, how did she describe that? Someone who likes to keep peace and harmony and is trying to get, the family back together or trying to keep peace in the family or something like that. And then I succumbed to a very horrible, brutal death eventually. So we're battling something very evil. I'm not sure yet, but that's the gist of my character that she kind of put out there a little bit because she's not trying to give too much away. But that's what she kind of gave the audience for the Indiegogo that we're raising right now.
Okay. Oh man.
So it's a monster movie, and she's got this gal named Andy. Oh, I forgot her last name. But she's gonna play a shapeshifter. She's gonna have all kinds of prosthetics placed around her, kind of like Mystique in a way, where she can change. Yeah,
great comparison. I love that.
And I guess she's a contortionist, so she can move in different ways and all that stuff. And somebody I think you might be aware of, Robert Lasardo is going to be a part of this movie.
Oh, good. Robert's he's awesome.
Yeah, because I remember listening to your guys' podcast
he's awesome.
The other day.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
that guy's a chameleon. He can play anything. He could do comedy. He could do. I mean, it's amazing. I have so much respect for him. Yeah, he can do anything. Let's see. Jeff says here, where can we follow you guys on Instagram and X? What I'll do is I'll have both of you send me your addresses for Instagram. And
mine actually is pretty easy. Mine's Ament Acting, AMENT Acting. But I will send it to you as well. But mine is easy.
Okay, and then
I'll follow you as well, Jeff.
Are either one of you on X?
No, well, I am, but I haven't been on it for a while.
Okay.
I recently tried to. I hit the app to get on it recently, and it was actually on accident because I hit the wrong app button, and I don't even know my password to it anymore. So.
I got caught up in the purge that Facebook did. They purged like 250,000 accounts, 300 accounts,
wow.
300,000 accounts.
Wow.
And my Instagram got caught up in that. And
yeah,
so they wiped
I kind of lost interest in X anyway.
I signed out from X a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But what we'll do is we'll get whatever social media. I'll put it in the description box, and then and so you guys can stay connected. I like that idea. I really do like it when I see actors and directors connect, because so that's one good thing about social media. You can connect with each other on here, and it can lead to roles. I've seen that happen. Here.
Awesome.
I've seen that happen where actors have gotten together and helped each other with getting roles and stuff like that. So I'll definitely do that. All right, tomorrow night we'll be back at 8:00. We'll be talking with our good friend Captain Steve from the Chum Bucket podcast. It's a shark movie podcast, and we're going to be talking all things sharks tomorrow. which will be
Nice.
a lot of fun. This could be a lot of fun too. I can't wait to sink our teeth into it. And we'll be there tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So come on out, come on by. If you have any shark questions, bring them with you. We'll see if our good friend Eric will make it in. He's the king of all sharks. But we'll have a good time nonetheless. But thanks for watching. If you two guys can just stay right where you're at, I'm going to turn around and say goodnight to the chat. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for being engaged. I wouldn't be here without you. And it's good to see you again, Waffles. Thank you again, Jeff, for coming and hanging out. Michael James Menard, thank you so much. And Steve and Lucas Boy. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Peace. It just started raining.